We're breaking news as we speak
Right.
about John Hackett's testimony. And it's probably, there's other interesting material received, but this is a witness, in my view, who's blown it wide open.
Right.
Am I exaggerating?
No.
So John Hackett, well, let's talk about who John Hackett is.
So Mr. Hackett is a former director of IPS. IPS is the information of program services, I believe, of programs and services at the State Department, basically heading all of the entire FOIA program for the State Department. He came on board as the deputy director and then was elevated to director. He came on board in July of 2013. During the time that Cheryl Walter, who he also deposed, was at the time she was the director of IPS. In his testimony for the first, in July of 2013, he saw a photograph of Secretary Clinton holding a BlackBerry on the military plane that I think a lot of us has seen since then. So, and he saw it.
That's the one where she has the dark glasses?
Correct,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
And after his testimony, looking up why it came out back during that time, I believe that's when she opened her Twitter account. And actually that was the photograph that she selected, I believe, for her Twitter account.
So Hillary Clinton liked that photo.
So
Showing her using the illegal BlackBerry.
But that's that was sort of the context of why it appeared, because I believe the photograph existed since 2011. I think it was because it was taken while she was at the State Department. So it predates 2013. He sees the photograph, and Mr. Hackett testified that raised concerns, red flags for him with respect. What is this BlackBerry? Is this a State Department issued BlackBerry? What does that mean for FOIA? Does that mean that there's an email associated with the BlackBerry? And how are we responding to FOIA requests relating to Secretary Clinton's emails? So he alerted.
Sounds like a troublemaker.
Right. He alerted his boss, the director at the time, Cheryl Walter, who then she elevated it to her boss, who was at the time Margaret Grayfeld. And his testimony is they did research, they assigned somebody to do an investigation as to what this email is about, but of significance is he recommended, and the director at the time, Cheryl Walter, agreed with him, and apparently there was a directive issued not to submit any more no records located responses to FOIA requests asking for Secretary Clinton's emails.
But they were a little late to the dance in that regard, because they already had known about her email system. And just take a step back, because part of this discovery meant us getting documents that we otherwise would not have been able to get under the Freedom of Information Act.
Correct.
And they gave us documents showing that they knew and lied about her email usage prior to Hackett looking at that photo and saying, oh my gosh, what's going on here?
Well, we know actually from another testimony in this case, one of the attorneys, Gene Smolansky, his testimony, that they were aware of Secretary Clinton's email relating to Benghazi as early as in 2012.
And weren't they consulting the White House about it?
Well, at that point, his testimony is that they were consulting the Department of Justice.
And when did they start consulting the Obama White House about it?
So the Obama White House, as to information that we discovered in this case,
right,
became involved in December of 2012, also in 2012, in regards to a FOIA request. Are you talking about the Crew request?
Yes.
A FOIA request from Crew, citizens
Crew.
for responsibility and ethics in Washington.
A left-wing group founded, modeled based on Judicial Watch, of all things.
Right, and they had submitted a request for all records showing the number of email accounts that she used and her email address.
So they had a request that was, boom, right on target. They had, I think, asked across multiple agencies for alias requests of senior officials.
Right.
And with the Hillary Clinton request, oh my gosh, they asked about documents that would have revealed her email system.
Right.
And so they consulted with the Obama White House,
They did.
the White House counsel.
White House counsel's office.
And what was the response they gave to Crew?
They gave a no records response in May of 2013.
Okay, so I'm going to put a headline on this. The
Okay.
Obama White House coordinated the lies and obstruction of information about the Clinton email usage in October 2012 and early 2013. I mean, that's the evidence, isn't it?
In October of 2012?
December of 12, late 2012,
Late 2012.
early 2013.
Okay.
And then this other witness, John Hackett, comes in and he says, so that after all those lies that occurred, he blows the whistle. And he tells the boss who had previously lied, it looks like, to Crew, well, you know, she's using the system, she's obviously using a BlackBerry.
Right.
And they said, well, we're going to have to stop lying. I mean, I'm putting an editorial spin on it, but that's what this evidence suggests, that because of this one person, the State Department went silent. They didn't start telling the truth, but they went silent about her emails.
Right. They never, as far as we know, they never issued a correction to Crew.
So then the email issue becomes more public, at least within the State Department. And what is he's seeing all sorts of improprieties.
Right. So you have
this witness, John Hackett.
you have July 2013. This becomes an issue. So and then you have fast forward to August of. So it's kind of this time frame, July, August 2013, when they're trying to figure out, has the State Department ever issued Secretary Clinton a BlackBerry? And I believe Mr. Hackett testified that they made the inquiry and were told that she never issued that she was never issued a BlackBerry, a State Department BlackBerry.
So it was a personal BlackBerry.
So it was a personal BlackBerry, but nonetheless, that begs the question: she's using this on a military plane while she's Secretary of State. What's the email associated with a BlackBerry?
Right.
Then Mr. Hackett also testified again towards the end of 2013 and leading into 2014. There's another FOIA request where that, as a result of the search that was conducted, the State Department had located some records with her email address, the HDR22 at clintonemail.com. So we know that by the time, specific to this FOIA request and this litigation, we know that even before we filed this lawsuit, State Department officials were aware of Secretary Clinton's email use. Oh, and even Cheryl Walter, who was the director at the time of IPS, she's testified that there were not rumors, I can't remember the exact word, but speculations. Speculations about.
I use that term all the time, right? Oh, we were having speculations about someone's email usage.
Yes, I believe that was the term that she
Yes,
used
yes.
About her email use.
And of course,
And
that's a disingenuous way of
2000
putting it, isn't it?
Correct. And I mean, because at
They
that
all
point,
know.
if they're, the follow-up question to that is, well, what did the State Department do? What did you do as a result to determine whether these speculations are true or not?
Well, and if you want to know why the court in our case is mad, we had indications all that was going on. We didn't have the detail, but we knew they were playing a game, and the court recognized they were playing a game. And the frustrating thing from my end is that you had the State Department and Justice Department playing a game under Obama, and and still to this day, the Justice Department and State Department have defended this misconduct. And Judge Lamberth attacked the Justice Department and State Department for still prevaricating with him.
Right.
Not under Obama, but during this administration. So President Trump, in my view, needs to start asking why they're still defending Hillary and the State Department misconduct here. But we're still got to get more on this Hackett testimony.
Right.
Because then it comes out that all the emails get shipped back to the State Department, and Hackett's asking more impertinent questions.
Right, right. And one of them being because they have 12 banker boxes of emails that are returned, and then they find out, and by they, John Hackett and others at State Department, that 30,000 were deleted and were
Right.
not returned and deemed personal. So Mr. Hackett, as the director of IPS, obviously one of the important, what was the protocol, what were the guidelines, what were the parameters that Secretary Clinton's team used to determine that 30,000 emails, because that's not 3 emails, it's 30,000, that's a significant amount, that they were not official federal records. And he raised that with with Patrick Kennedy, who was then the Undersecretary for Management. And according to Mr. Hackett testified that Mr. Kennedy would make that request of Secretary Clinton's team. However, by the time Mr. Hackett had left the State Department, Secretary Clinton's team had never provided that information.